Okay, so it's Wednesday the 27th of May, 3 days away from Saturday, where the meeting is going to happen in Nottingham, Market Square, 12 noon, this coming Saturday, the 30th of May, as a precursor to the upcoming events that are coming, for those that know what's going on, particularly the 22nd of June. But I believe the real change is going to come in July. That's when we're going to see something happen. Could happen in June, but I strongly suspect it's going to be July. Now, after that, I would just like to look at this picture here. I pass this waste of space twice a day to and from work. I have noticed that all the windows are boarded up. First, I have seen this. Also, the huge concrete and steel barriers that surround the palace that spans the road have gone, as you can see in the lower pictures. We all know something's coming, and some of us know what it is. World famous psychic forced to cancel tour due to unforeseen circumstances. World famous TV psychic John Edwards has been forced to postpone his upcoming tour of Australia, originally planned to take place later in the year, owing to unforeseen circumstances surrounding the bullshit. CNN is at it again, putting a black guy's head on a little white dude to push an agenda. As you can see, look at the leg. How can you tell when CNN is posting fake news? Well, here is one way. And of course, the other way is, of course, if it's on CNN, it's fake news. Religion, a tool invented by the powerful to control the stupid. Cycling is bad for the economy. Hilarious but true too. A cyclist is a disaster for the country's economy. He does not buy the car and does not take a car loan, does not buy a car insurance, does not buy fuel, does not send his car for servicing and repairs, does not use paid parking, does not become obese. Yes, and well, damn it. Healthy people are not needed for an economy. They do not buy drugs. They do not go to hospitals and doctors. They add nothing to country's GDP. On the contrary, every new fast food outlet creates at least 30 jobs, 10 cardiologists, 10 dentists and 10 weight loss experts, apart from people working in the outlet chosen wisely. A cyclist or a KFC, worth thinking about. P.S. Walking is even worse. They do not even buy a bicycle. John F. Kennedy Sr.'s birthday is 5/29/1917. The tail number to his plane is N529JK. This plane has been flying out of Quantico on recent occasions. JFK Jr. took his dog Friday to work at George Magazine every Friday. Next Friday is May 29th, 2020, and is also the end of the Q clock. There is no virus. And the reason I say that is because virus is just a theory. It's a virus theory. Do your research. If they told you this would stop it, you'd wear it. The minute you are aware of the game, you're immune from the trap. This picture comes from a conference in 2016. You have psychopath Bill Gates, psychopath Dr. Fauci, and utter psychopath the Black Pope Arturo Sosa. Arturo is the Superior General of the Jesuits. Dr. Fauci went to 2 Jesuit schools. Any more you want to know, or do you just think it's a coincidence still? This is the mask needed to prevent that stuff, inhalation and absorption through the eyes. This is a mind control device, part of the bullshit psyop. These are the people who make fun of conspiracy theorists. Woman 30, charged with stabbing 7-year-old girl Emily Jones to death in Bolton Park. Eltoyona Scanner, 30, was charged with murdering 7-year-old Emily Jones at Queen's Park, close to Bolton town centre on Sunday, March 22nd. Police have confirmed. Why is it taking this long for it to be? Well, we know why, don't we? A 30-year-old woman has been charged with murdering a little girl in a park in Bolton. Eltoyona Scanner, formerly a Turnstone Road, Bolton, is accused of killing 7-year-old Emily Jones. She is also charged with possession of a bladed article. And I'd also like to point out that Eltoyona Scanner is not an English or British name, but they're not mentioning that. You will notice. Police were called to Queen's Park shortly after 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, March 22nd, following reports that a child had been stabbed. Scanner has been remanded in custody to appear before Manchester and Salford Magistrates Court on Tuesday the 26th of May. That was yesterday then. Emergency services attended, but sadly, despite the best efforts of Emily's family and medical responders, she passed away a short time later. But this wasn't in the news because they were too busy reporting the bullshit and there was no time for real news, especially when it involves, I'm just guessing, possibly an illegal immigrant. Just saying. Now, this is what happens when I post on various different channels or whatever you want to call them on FaceAche. Oops, something's gone wrong. We're working to get it fixed as soon as we can. Except they never get it fixed. This is an actual elevator in downtown Pittsburgh. Are you supposed to face the wall? Yes, of course you are. The Oliver Building elevator of shame. Boris Johnson to discuss bullshit and a poison efforts with Bill and Melinda Gates. Melinda, of course, is a bloke, and it very much seems that Bill might just be a woman. But do your own research. Don't believe what you hear. Boris Johnson will discuss the Global Poison Summit with Bill and Melinda Gates. Boris Johnson is set to discuss the international response to the bullshit and efforts to find a poison with billionaires Bill and Melinda Gates. The chat between Mr. Johnson and one of the world's richest couple came ahead of the Global Poison Summit, which is being hosted by the UK on June 4th. The summit hopes to raise at least $6 billion for poison after $6.5 billion was raised in a global funding drive co-hosted by Boris Johnson in early May. The UK and the Gates Foundation, the couple's philanthropic organisation, are among the world's biggest contributors to international attempts to find a poison for the bullshit. Plans are in place to potentially make 30 million be poisoned by public by September. The international response will require funding for Sepivac poisons development of the bullshit poison and for Gavi, thanks to Boris Johnson and the UK for their vital commitment. In late March, Mr. Gates thanked Mr. Johnson and the UK for a vital commitment of 210 million towards poison efforts. At the time, it was reported to be the world's biggest donation to the poison effort. In May, the Gates Foundation said it would spend 245 million to fight the bullshit, after already pledging over 100 million in March. And what did they do in October? Oh yeah, they had an event 201 where they were just planning for this type of thing. And it's strangely enough, it just happened. It's just a coincidence. Those that try and connect the philanthropic Bill and Melinda Gates to any type of poison is just ridiculous, because them two have so much money. Why would they want to depopulate the planet? Because they're working for this Luciferian bastards. Bill and Melinda Gates are said to be one of the world's richest couples, with a net worth estimated to be at least $81.5 billion. Police carry out dawn raids on campers who stayed overnight in Cornwall despite lockdown bullshit restrictions. Police have carried out dawn raids on campers, caravans and tents as people stayed overnight in holiday hotspots despite the bullshit lockdown rules. Now let's just put this in perspective, shall we? A couple maybe, or maybe even with a kid or two, has gone off camping away from everybody. That is pretty much social distancing. But no, the police will find you if you social distance yourself too good. That's their job, to find anyone that thinks they can social distance away from the Gestapo. Police have carried out dawn raids on camper vans, caravans and tents as people stayed overnight in holiday hotspots despite the bullshit lockdown rules. Campers in Cornwall were given as an early morning wake-up call by the pigs in order to return home because they weren't far enough distancing themselves. Oh wait, they were at least 2 meters from someone else, but that's not good enough because it's not about distancing. It's about bringing in martial law and an absolute utter fascist dictatorship. But don't worry about it because, you just sit there on the fence and you'll be fine when they come for you. The move comes after beaches across the UK were packed on Wednesday, leading to gridlock roads and traffic wardens running out of parking tickets. According to the latest lockdown rules in England, people can drive to outdoor open spaces with members of the same household as well as travelling to beaches or beauty spots, but cannot go on holiday or stay overnight. Why not? What difference does it make? We all know this is a fake pandemic, and they're not even calling it that now. They're just calling it an epidemic now because everyone's realising it's a pack of lies. But if you go and social distance yourself too far away from other people, the pigs will find you and send you home. CDC now says bullshit does not spread easily on surfaces. Oh my God! You mean the CDC's telling the truth that everyone else that in the know has been saying for ages? Well, you could have knocked me over with a feather. It may be possible for bullshit to spread in other ways. Oh yeah, like what? But these are not thought to be the main ways the bullshit spreads because there is no bullshit. There's no evidence to prove there is any of that bullshit anywhere. This is why they are not calling it the bullshit. They're calling it the bullshit. We're going to test you to see if you have a virus of the common cold, because that's what corona is, the common cold. So that's what they're testing you for. So guess what? If you've had a cold in the last year, you'll probably come back as testing positive for the common cold. You see, because they can't test you for the bullshit because they haven't isolated it, because it doesn't exist. This is a normal cold flu type thing that's going around, and we've been locked down for over 2 months for a common cold. The US Centre for Disease Control and Prevention now says the bullshit does not spread easily through touching surfaces or objects. So all those wearing your gloves and your masks, you thick bastards, you've been sold a kipper and you took it to bed with you, slept with it, and now you're wondering why it stinks. Oh, maybe it doesn't because you've got your mask on. Oh no, because the smell would get through it, because that could get through it. Oh, and if the smell could get through it, surely something as small as a virus could. Oh, right. In early March, the Federal Health Agency was warning that it may be possible to pass the bullshit from contaminated surfaces, according to Fox News. And we all know you can trust Fox News. Its guidelines now include a section on ways the bullshit doesn't easily spread. Oh, it doesn't easily spread, but people are wearing masks and gloves. Okay then. So just like I've been saying all along, including from touching surfaces and objects. It may be possible that a person can get bullshit by touching a surface or object that has the bullshit on. Bullshit is the answer to that. It may be possible that a person can get bullshit by touching a surface or object that has the bullshit on it and then touching their own mouth, nose, or possibly their eyes, the CDC website states. This is not thought to be the main way that bullshit spreads, but we are still learning more about this bullshit. One of the things we're learning most is don't trust the government, because everything they've said so far has been proven to be a pack of lies. And as Dominic Cummings has shown you, it's bullshit, because he can just go do a 280-mile trip to up north and then back again, another 280-mile trip, and nothing happened. But wait a minute, lockdown's supposed to stop this, but it didn't, because there's nothing for it to stop. Italian Association of Clinical and Forensic Pathologists. Thanks to autopsies performed by the Italians, it has been shown that it is not pneumonia, but it is disseminated intravascular coagulation or thrombosis. Therefore, the way to fight it is with antibiotics, antivirals, anti-inflammatories and anticoagulants. The protocols are being changed here since noon. According to valuable information from Italian pathologists, ventilators and intensive care units were never needed. Oh my God, we've been lied to again, and it's helped to kill people. But don't worry, because tomorrow, Thursday, you'll all be out there clapping for the murderers, won't you? If this is true for all cases, we are about to resolve it earlier than expected. Important and new about bullshit. Around the world, bullshit is being attacked wrongly due to important and new about bullshit. Around the world, bullshit is being attacked wrongly due to a series of pathological diagnosis errors. Oh, it was just an error. You didn't really need to be locked down. We just made an error. So, Dominic Cummings, Ferguson, and Whitty all need to go to jail. They are the three that have caused this lockdown. They are the three that need to spend the rest of their lives in jail. Ferguson has been wrong about every time he's come up with these models. It was wrong about this. It was wrong about the 2009, which just happens to be equated to the 4G. It was wrong about the 2001, which just happens to be equated with the 3G. He's been wrong every time, and yet we're all under lockdown because of Ferguson. I think somebody should start up a thing. Should Ferguson be jailed for his lies? And I'm not giving it even going to give him the chance to say it was an error. It wasn't an error. It was lies by Neil Ferguson. The impressive case of a Mexican family in the United States who claimed they were cured with a home remedy was documented. 500 milligram aspirin dissolved in lemon juice, boiled with honey, taken hot. Oh, you mean like a normal cold remedy? Well, you could have knocked me down with a feather. What about you lot? The next day they woke up as if nothing had happened to them. Oh, shock. Well, the scientific information that follows proves they are right. This information was released by a medical researcher from Italy. Thanks to 50 autopsies performed on patients who died of bullshit. No, except they didn't die of the bullshit, did they? They died of underlying circumstances, and the bullshit was blamed for it. Italian pathologists have discovered that it is not pneumonia, strictly speaking, because the bullshit does not only kill pneumocytes of this site, but it uses an inflammatory storm to create a endothelial vascular thrombosis. As it disseminated intravascularly coagulation, the lung is the most affected because it is the most inflamed. But there is also a heart attack, stroke, and many other thromboembolic diseases. In fact, the protocols left antiviral therapies useless and focused on anti-inflammatory and anti-clotting therapies. These therapies should be done immediately, even at home, in which the treatment of the patients responds very well. The latter performed less effective in resuscitation They are almost useless. If the Chinese had denounced it, they would have invested in home therapy, not intensive care. But that was never the plan. Disseminated intravascular coagulation, thrombosis. So the way to fight it is with antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, and anticoagulants. And you know, one of the best anticoagulants and anti-inflammatories, and yeah, that there is marijuana. One of the best anti-inflammatories there is. This is why anyone that takes it feels better. The pain goes away because the inflammation in the body goes away. But they don't want you to know that, do they? Fauci flips on lockdown. Staying home too long could cause irreparable damage. Well, yeah, I've been saying that pretty much non-stop since this bullshit started. Dr. Anthony Fauci said Friday that there could be irreparable damage if lockdowns due to the bullshit went on too long. Fauci explained during a segment of CNBC's Fast Money halftime report that there could be numerous unintended consequences of keeping the country shut down longer than necessary. Fauci began by saying that his position had always been that states and regions should open as they passed certain benchmarks and could do so safely while still protecting the more vulnerable population. More absolute lies by a Zionist, by a Jesuit. Horowitz. The CDC confirms remarkable low bullshit death rate. Where is the media? Most people are more likely to wind up 6 feet under because of almost anything else under the sun other than bullshit. The CDC just came out with a report that should be earth-shattering to the narrative of the political class. Yet it will go into the thick pile of vital data and information about the bullshit that is not getting out to the public. For the first time, the CDC has attempted to offer a real estimate of the overall death rate of the bullshit, and under its most likely scenario, the number is 0.26%, less than 0.3%. Officials estimate a 0.4% fatality rate among those who are systematically and project a 35% rate of asymptomatic cases among those infected, with drops of overall infection fatality rate IFR to just 0.26%, almost exactly where Stanford researchers pegged it a month ago. As you can see here, look at this graph, look at that highlighted area, 0.004. 0.004. Enough said. Until now, we have been ridiculed for thinking the death rate was that low, as opposed to the 3.4 estimate of the World Health Organization, or should that be the Bill and Melinda Gates World Health Organization, which helped drive the panic and the lockdowns. Now the CDC is agreeing to the lower rate in plain ink. Plus, ultimately, we might find out that the IFR is even lower because numerous studies and hard counts of confirmed populations have shown a much higher percentage of asymptomatic cases. Simply adjusting for a 50% asymptomatic rate would drop their fatality rate to 0.2%. Exactly the rate of fatality Dr. John Ioannidis of Stanford University projected. More importantly, as I mentioned before, the overall death rate is meaninglessly because the numbers are so lopsided. Given that at least half of the deaths were in nursing homes, a back of the envelope estimate would show that the infection fatality rate for non-nursing home residents would only be 0.1%, or 1 in 1,000. And that includes people of all ages, all health status, outside the nursing homes, since nearly all of the deaths are those with comorbidities. The CDC estimates the death rate for bullshit for those under 50 is 1 in 5,000. For those with symptoms, which would be 1 in 6,725 overall. But again, almost all those who die have specific comorbidities or underlying conditions. Those without them are more likely to die in a car accident. And school children whose lives, mental health and education we are destroying are more likely to get struck by lightning. But you keep wearing your masks and your gloves. Yeah, because it makes you feel better. Because you can't be asked to do any research and find out what's really going on. So you keep wearing your masks and gloves. As we can see here, the bullshit does not exist. The statistics data shows clearly that 83% of all bullshit infections and 92% of all bullshit deaths have occurred in the G20 nations, which are the wealthiest nations on the planet with the best medical systems. Since no pathogen, be it natural or man-made, could display such economic bias, we can conclude with 100% certainty that the bullshit exists only in the lab, and that its presence in the population is merely the result of false tests that result in false diagnosis. The conclusion is further supported by the fact that bullshit has yet to be found in nature in any species. Excess mortality due to bullshit is likely to be near zero. I'll read that again in case you missed it. Excess mortality due to bullshit is likely to be near zero. And the vast majority of those infected with it remain symptom-free. The excess mortality in the elderly reported in the few Western European nations is the result of assisted suicide provided under the cover of bullshit and of the denial of vital medical services and life extension drugs and care under the pretext that hospitals are too full due to the bullshit. And yet we all know the hospitals have been empty, desolate. That's why the nurses have been able to go around and choreograph dances. But you continue to believe the bullshit if you want to. Now available, Quarantine Barbie. Quarantine edition. Non-essential worker Barbie. Wine o'clock time. 600 physicians say lockdowns are a mass casualty incident. More than 600 of the nation's physicians sent a letter to President Trump this week calling the bullshit shutdown a mass casualty incident with exponentially growing negative health consequences to millions of non-bullshit patients. The downstream health effects are being massively underestimated and underreported. This is an order of magnitude error. According to the letter initiated by Simon Gold, MD, an emergency medicine specialist in Los Angeles, suicide hotline phone calls have increased 600%. The letter said, other silent casualties, 150,000 Americans per month who would have had new cancer detected through routine screening. From missed cancer diagnosis to untreated heart attacks and strokes to increased risk of suicides, we are alarmed at what appears to be a lack of consideration for the future health of our patients. Patients fearful of visiting hospitals and doctors' offices are dying because bullshit phobia is keeping them from seeking care. One patient died at home of a heart attack rather than go to an emergency room. The number of severe heart attacks being treated in 9 US hospital surveys dropped by nearly 40% since March. Cardiologists are worried a second wave of deaths indirectly caused by the bullshit is likely. When someone calls you a conspiracy theorist, what they are really saying is they are too lazy to do their own research and we should just trust the government and media to tell us the truth. Seriously, may I have your attention? Attention! To all my contacts who intend to install the bullshit British Health app injection with the new release software upgrade for Apple iPhone, please delete me from your phone contact list as well as Facebook before installing this app on your smartphone. If it wants permission to access your contacts, you and the app do not have my consent to use my phone number in connection with your app to identify, track, or locate me without my knowledge or consent. I hope none of you will download the bullshit app unless you're living in fear. But if you do, that's your choice. Please make sure to delete my contact info first. Thank you. These new apps and updates to your phones carry this in as well, whether it's iPhone, Apple, or whether it's Android, doesn't matter. The latest updates have this installed with it, so I would strongly suggest you do not update your phone. And as said, if you have me in your contacts and you update it, please delete me from your contacts before you update it. Say no to poison in the UK and face jail and financial ruin, says new rule. Even though it will probably never be written into history, a truly historic event took place in Great Britain this week. We are not talking about this planned scamdemic or the incredibly fast rate of the kill weapon rollout across the planet, but something even more fundamental. That is the total annihilation of personal choice, of liberty, of the right to choose what happens to your body, your possessions, your home and your family if you choose to say no to the coming bullshit poison. Democracy, if there ever was such a thing, has become a bit of a joke lately, a bit old-fashioned, and maybe something the Greeks were fond of when everyone wore loincloths. Well, you can forget about that, as your right to choose anything apart from what you want on your Amazon seems now to be the thing of the past. People of the UK no longer have the right to say no to mandatory poisons. In fact, they could well end up in prison with no possessions, homeless and broke if they do not consent to, see, they need your consent, so they're trying to coerce consent out of you, to the imminent arrival of these rushed and untested poisons that are sent to protect us all, except they're not, they're there to kill us all, and anyone that does any research knows that. The new lepers of tomorrow will be the pro-choice anti-poison, the one who eats vegetables and relies on their own good health, the one who foolishly believes that the immune system actually works and does not need fixing by Bill and Melinda Gates. Now you could be whisked off to prison or hospital or anywhere of their choice if you choose to say or even promote choice on your own social network channel. You could be stopped in the street and then taken away. The surveillance is in place. The database is in control. You will be monitored, and if you choose to say no, then you are now in danger. In danger of not only losing your family and your family home, but also your business, your liberty and your right to work. Your family may not know where you are gone, or may also be arrested for collusion. A naysayer, a non-believer, is now an enemy of the people. You are a danger to society. What's wrong with you? Did you not see the news? Actually, no, because I don't watch the lying propaganda. We are still under threat, and we must all comply in exchange for whatever kind of liberty they choose. Except we've just found out that, oh, guess what? There are multiple cures, and there was no COVID, no bullshit in the first place. At the beginning, it was just awkward, but now refuse the poison and you are off to jail. Your life will then be systematically destroyed, as they now have the right to destroy your things, your family, your friends, your business, remove your children and destroy your private home. But hey, you know, you voted for it, didn't you? What do they all have in common? And of course the answer is they all married men who pretend to be women. Every single one of them.
If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic and or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. Joseph Goebbels.
There's a crazy conspiracy theory that the Rothschilds sank the Titanic to set up the Federal Reserve. Except it's not a crazy conspiracy theory for anyone that's done the research. Because there, again, a Jesuit got on the ship and the captain was also a Jesuit, and that Jesuit priest that got on the ship and told him to sink the Titanic got off the ship at Ireland. Just a conspiracy theory though, nothing to worry about except that there is actual evidence of that happening. But don't you worry about it because it's a conspiracy theory. There's a conspiracy theory that links the Rothschilds, the sinking of the Titanic and the creation of the Federal Reserve, which is pretty much what happened. On Friday, I stumbled across a tweet sent in reply to a prominent finance parody account on Twitter. It featured the black and white image of three men and the Titanic. The text on the photo named Benjamin Guggenheim, Isaiah Strauss, actual name Isidore Strauss, and David Astor as three wealthy men who died on the Titanic. So far, so good. The men were all real and wealthy. Below each name, it says opposed new Federal Reserve Bank. The Titanic sinking happened in 1912, and the opening of the Federal Reserve happened in 1913. Just a coincidence again, nothing to see here. Move along. For those that have eyes, will not see it unless they want to. Was the hint that the opposition of the Fed and their deaths were somehow linked? I had to find out. I googled their names and found that it was indeed a conspiracy theory. Websites with names like Before It's News, Disinfo and Help Free the Earth all host various versions of this story. As with many other conspiracy facts, there's a transparently anti-Semitic tint to the story. Of course, there's always an anti-Semitic tint because that's the bullshit they hit every conspiracy with. And the Rothschilds family is implicated as it is almost every conspiracy fact involving money in any way. A YouTube video offers some additional information hinting that the sinking of the Titanic was effectively drawn up as a recreation of the late 13th century book called Futility and the Wreck of the Titan. The book was published 14 years before the Titanic sank and a decade before any construction began. The video goes on to say that by April 1912, all opposition to the Federal Reserve was eliminated. In December 2013, the Federal Reserve was born, controlled by the elite banking cabal, whose ultimate agenda was to enslave humanity. Have you had a look around you recently? Because that's exactly what's going on. Anyone fined for being out under lockdown can now apply for a refund under the new law of comings and goings. Mainstream media, 1920, 2020. Cause of death, the truth. My wife said I make love like a painter. I said, what, like Da Vinci, smooth strokes, attention to detail and result of a masterpiece? She said, no, like the council, rush the job, leave a effing mess and I have to finish it myself. Mommy, who's my daddy? I don't know, honey. He was wearing a mask.
Dennis Healy. World events do not occur by accident. They are made to happen, whether it is to do with national issues or commerce, and most of them are staged and managed by those who hold the purse strings.